I'm trying to think of an intro, but I don't have one. So, yeah, I had Shane Van Gisbergen at Martinsville. Do you guys remember that spring race? If you didn't, if you're a Shane Van Gisbergen fan, I guess I don't blame you because he finished 34th. They had a tire go off of the car. They qualified like 36th, and they finished 34th multiple laps down and got two pit crew members suspended. So, why are we talking about that, you may ask? Because it's one of the statistical data points. Yes, Shane Van Gisbergen at Martinsville 2025 fall went much better than the spring race. As you can see from the tweet here, P14, 20 positions better. Now, of course, if you remember last year in the Colleague racing car, he actually scored what at the time was his best oval finish, a 12th place finish at Martinsville. Well, he has obviously since improved on then. He got the top 10 at Kansas, finished 11th last week at Talladega. He's been improving on the ovals, learning the ovals, making steps forward, and he's really made some big steps forward in the past 6 or so weeks, I would say, since that New Hampshire race. It feels like since he got eliminated from the playoffs, ironically enough, it feels like he's been making those steps forward. Drove up into the top 5 at New Hampshire, scored stage points at New Hampshire, the top 10 at Kansas. Where else have we been since then? Obviously, the Roval win, that's a road course. We're not going to count that. Or we count it, but not on the oval side of things. Vegas, he drove up into the top 10 there. Talladega finished 11th. Like, he's been making significant gains on the ovals. Well, we're coming back to Martinsville, a track that they were a disaster at in the spring. Trackhouse is an organization. They did not have qualifying speed. It's hard to pass at Martinsville, and also they were just slow at Martinsville in the spring. Massive step forward here. So Martinsville's a half-mile track, 0.85 kilometers for those of you who are using the kilometer system. I forget what that's called. Oh, wait. What the heck is a kilometer? Anyways, miles, that's the real thing. I'm kidding. Qualified 22nd, much improved from the mid-30s back in the spring, obviously. So a massive improvement on qualifying. And very quickly in this race, he was +3 in one lap. Drove up into the top 20 in one lap. He didn't really do much. It's just people kind of got shuffled back. Like, he just kind of held his line and, you know. They had a moment with Bowman. I wrote down that there was a slight scare with Bowman. Yeah, there, you saw it. They were having some radio issues at some point in this race. Like, SVG couldn't hear what Steven Doran was saying to him. He could hear Josh Williams fine. So finally he came on the radio at some point. And whenever Steven Doran would try to say something, he said, "Hey man, I can't hear you. You gotta relay this information through Josh up in the sky. Like, you gotta just tell me through that." So that happened. I think they spent a caution at some point in this race, fixing the antenna, fixing whatever the problem was. But that was really the only issue they had all day, and it wasn't really that much of a hindrance, if we're being honest. In stage 1, he finished 12th. As I said, started this race 22nd and kind of just gradually made his way up through the field. Shane Van Gisbergen in this race, I think I screenshot it. He had an average running position of like a 13.8, I want to say. It's somewhere, you'll see it. He had a really good day. He was in the top 15 the majority of the day. He qualified in the low 20s. As I said, early in this race, was running in the back half of the teens, but top 15 most of the day. They had a really solid day. They made a huge stride compared to where they were in the spring. And once again, it's back to that earlier point at the beginning of the video where we talked about they've been making gains on the ovals, and not just over the entire year. Over the last 6 or 7 weeks, they've made some massive strides. They figured out how he wants the car. SVG's kind of figured out how to race some of these ovals a little bit different. And no, it doesn't mean he's going to go out at the beginning of next year and win a bunch of races on the ovals. He's not going to go out and dominate Vegas in the spring, dominate Martinsville in the spring, but it's a step forward. As he says at the end of the race, we're getting there. They are getting there in terms of being more competitive at the ovals. They are making the necessary steps forward, and we're going to look at his stats here in a second. So stage 1, he finishes 12th. They restart stage 2 in 11th. And then somewhere around, let's see, what did I write down here? 45 to go in stage 2. There was a caution for something. I don't know, probably Hocevar. Hocevar got spun or spinning someone out. Him and Suarez, future teammates, were just going at it in this race. Anywho, there was a caution then, and there was a caution a few laps later. SVG pitted under both cautions, but because most of the field had been lapped in this race, that was really not a harm at all. So essentially, because Martinsville is such a small track, if this race stays green, the majority of the field goes a lap down. So I'm talking like 16 cars out of a 37 car field were on the lead lap. So the majority were a lap down. Well, SVG, there was only one instance I think he was a lap down, and we will talk about that in a minute, but they stayed on the lead lap on raw pace all day long. Top 15, raw speed, on the lead lap. They never had to deal with the wave around issues. Anywho, the point of me saying all that is that the second caution, they were able to pit again because they were running 13th. Well, they were the last car on the lead lap, one of the last cars on the lead lap. They go and pit again because it's not that much harm to them. 13th versus 15th is not that big of a difference, and you can have 8 lap fresher tires than everyone else, so that's what they did. So then guess what? There was another caution just a handful of laps later. A few other people at the front of the field decided to pit. SVG stays out, restarts 8th with only a 20 or so laps to go, handful of laps to go. He finishes 8th in stage 2, scores 3 whole stage points in stage number 2 at Martinsville. That's a big deal. We've talked about it all year. Yeah, he can score a bunch of stage points on the road courses, but the ovals, can he score stage points on the ovals? And then the next step after he scored stage points at Atlanta, Daytona, like the super speedways where everyone can kind of score stage points, can he score stage points on the regular, the traditional ovals? Well, now he's done it at New Hampshire. He's done it now at Martinsville, and he got pretty close at Vegas a few weeks ago, so he's getting there. So then let's get to the big moment, the one time they got pinned a lap down in the middle of green flag pit stops. In fact, it was the lap that SVG pitted. Shane Van Gisbergen goes on to pit road to pit, get 4 fresh tires during a green flag cycle. About halfway down pit road, the 43 car spins. There's a caution. So the procedure for this essentially is, if there's a caution in the middle of a pit cycle, if you have made it to the commitment box, to that orange cone, if you were inside of there, you can make your pit stop, which SVG was. If you don't make it through there and you go through pit road anyways, you get a penalty. Well, SVG didn't have to deal with that. As I said, he was well within the pit lane. He was able to do his 4-tire pit stop, but the problem is it's at Martinsville. If this happens at Kansas, if you're doing a green flag pit stop at Kansas, you're going to get lapped. You're going to go one single lap down. If you do it at Talladega, you might get lapped, but there's a chance you could be on the lead lap. Pocono and Indianapolis are like the only ovals where you can pit and stay on the lead lap. But Martinsville, because it's such a short track, because the lap times are under 20 seconds, you're getting lapped twice during a green flag cycle. So because of the reason, because that there was a caution right as they were in pit road, that actually worked out for them because they only went 1 lap down. And because the majority of the field was a lap down and the only people who hadn't pitted were the lead lap cars, they were able to take the wave around, which of course, if you guys don't remember, is if the lead lap cars in front of you pit and you're a lap down, you get to take the wave around and get your lap back. So they ultimately did that. They ended up restarting, I think, 10th or 8th after that, 9th. They restarted 9th after that, but they were in like row 8 because the wave around rules, when you're the wave around car, you got to start at the back, the tail end. So they had to start behind a bunch of cars, and it's complicated and it's weird. So they restarted in row 8 despite being 9th place. So they restarted in the 15th position essentially, but they were still 9th place. There was a caution with 100 to go when they were 11th, and then that next run, SVG just said he had no grip, no drive off, and he fell back to 16th. But by the end of this thing, they were able to rally to 14th. So after the race, SVG came on the radio and he said, "We're getting there." Just talking about their day, breaking it down, saying, "Hey, good job, guys. Hey, good result. Like, hey, good car." Like, he was happy with it. Like, we're making steps forward. And I thought that "we're getting there" was the big quote of the day. So let's actually go to his standings right here because I want to tell you guys something. Shane Van Gisbergen has not mathematically clinched, but has, barring a disaster, has clinched a top 12 spot in the standings. He is currently 32 points ahead of Alex Bowman. If he DNFs and Alex Bowman gets a top 10 along with some stage points, Alex Bowman will pass him. Mathematically, Austin Cindric would need a win to pass SVG, and SVG would have to have a DNF probably. But if SVG just runs top 20, it doesn't matter what he does, he will finish 12th in the points. Catching Chastain, he needs a top 5 along with at least 10 stage points, and he needs Chastain to finish in the 30s. So SVG will more than likely finish 12th in the points next week in the season finale, unless they have a disaster of a race. So it's looking like a 12th place finish. Technically, he could get as high as 10th, but that's extremely realistic. Technically, he could get to 11th. That's also realistic. And technically, he could fall as low as 14th, but that is not realistic either. So 12th is what it is looking like for SVG to finish his rookie season. So thanks for watching this video. I've talked long enough. We got to get back to this live stream. Hope you guys enjoy the video. And I guess next week is the season finale. We'll have one more SVG recap this season.